Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Sales Athlete Podcast. And I have a super exciting episode today. I have a friend who's doing close to, if not will be surpassing the $10 million mark in sales and roofing. So we're going to jump right into it. I have my friend Ryan Lephart with Great Roofing. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, man?
Going, on, man.
Good to
That
see
is
you.
that is the ever evolving goal. It's funny. It started out as a goal of like an impossible feat, and hopefully at some point we're gonna hit it. So it's just more of like a keep going goal.
Yeah, I mean, I remember putting the Facebook post out like, hey, who's doing this much in residential roofing? And there was very few hands raised. And I know you had done 7 million a couple years ago, maybe was it? And then maybe you have done it again, but you did
Yeah, I
seven.
did that
Yeah.
last year. Now there was, I'll be honest, there was a little bit, there was a couple commercial. We started doing some coatings,
Yeah.
flat roof coatings, and it's been an evolving thing. We actually have like five or six of those in progress right now. So.
Heck yeah.
Um, it's an evolving thing. So yes, but yeah, that's it's the second time hitting that, and hopefully, can go just a little bit further this year. It's a lot. It's a lot to juggle, that's for sure.
No, for sure. All right. So um people were gonna want to know how, why are you able to do that much? Obviously there's deal sizes or types of jobs, things like that. How are you doing that? And then we can wrap up with something special at the end.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I know as far as how, a lot of relationship building, a lot of making sure that we're focusing on I like to tell the guys like we try to be a customer service company that happens to sell roofs.
Mm,
So that's kind of the way that we're taking the approach right now of trying to make sure that we're facilitating and talking with people about things beyond like, oh, you need this shingle and this type of nails and so many rows of ice and water shield and this type of felt and underlayment and blah blah blah. To be honest, because everybody's saying that. There's not
mm,
a company in the country that doesn't, oh, ring shank nails and so forth, and try to find some things that are differentiating us between us and the guys that come out and just really just pitch product and warranty and things like that. Because in all honesty, I've found that people's main concerns, if you really dig down deep, and I know that that's part of your training, is their main concerns and worries, if you really ask them the questions, don't don't really come down to warranty or product or anything like that. If they already know you have a good reputation, they're calling you already. Your job is to find the other things that they want out of the process. When it's an insurance thing, I most often find that that's somebody just looking for um, who they're going to be able to deal with for the amount of time that it takes insurance claims to go through now. I mean, some of the projects that I work on, the multifamily stuff, it'll take a year and a half to come to fruition.
wow.
So you're dealing with people that, hey, we're going to be in this for the long run. You kind of have to actually like dealing with me as a person. And that's kind of step one, is figuring out, okay, how to get them to kind of just accept what I'm going to bring to the table as a person, my communication, my kind of not just overall knowledge of the products, but also how I'm going to help protect their property and knowledge of how to keep their property safe. Because when you're dealing with some of those multifamily projects that are, you're dealing with one residential roof, you're dealing with like one couple, you're dealing with 53 buildings, you've got 2 units per building, you're dealing with 106 couples. So you're dealing with, 312 people plus their kids, plus their animals, plus their cars. So that's something where I really try to focus on that side of things, is how to help facilitate keeping everybody happy during a long process like that.
Wow. That's cool. I love that. So relationships and also digging deep and being a customer service company. I really like those takeaways. Talk to me about the digging deeper. What are the kind of questions that you're asking, and then like how is that differentiating you from others? And then like also on the relationship side, are these how you generate leads, or is this how once you have leads, you're deepening the relationship and closing the sale? specifically at the type of volume you're doing?
Definitely a combination of how like the relationship thing helps generate leads. Like anytime you can get referrals, I think we all know that referrals are the best leads there
Mm.
are in the game. You cannot do that type of volume without getting a lot of referrals. A lot of it starts with trying to form a relationship with either property managers, people like that that can help get you into some larger scale complexes, or especially when I'm dealing with multifamily stuff, like from board to board. It's amazing how many different multifamily communities board members talk to other board members,
Wow, that's interesting.
especially
Yeah.
when they're neighboring complexes. We've done some that they're right next door to each other because the boards happen to have the same type of building. They were built by the same builder, so they're dealing with the same issues from whatever the builder had go wrong with one complex is going wrong with the other. So those two boards talk about their, solutions for those problems. So sometimes it's as easy as that. But building those types of relationships, it takes quite a while for the majority of them. But really, as long as you do a good job and you actually do what you say you will do, I mean, that's our company slogan.
Mm,
You go out and make promises to people and you don't deliver, then you're going to have a bad time when it comes to building relationships. That's why I've found that when we're making like insurance claim promises and things like that, I think a lot of times it's oversold to people. I think everybody's,
mm,
oh, you're going to get a free roof for your deductible and all this stuff. And it's like, you actually might get like 50% of this 30-year-old roof that's been on here and is crusty, and but honestly that's a lot better than having 0%, isn't it? And people appreciate that honesty. And then the promises you make need to be more revolving around how you're going to take care of their property. I always tell my guys, look, if somebody has like a really expensive landscaping thing and you talk up how we're going to protect this landscaping, but you're not out there on day one yourself to make sure that whatever this is actually got protected by our guys, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to have a real issue if somebody has a really expensive Japanese maple that's been growing out there for 20 years and it's got felt hanging off of it. When you promise them something like, I'll say, hey, we're going to build a box around this. We're going to buy some 2x4s and some OSB,
mm.
and we're going to put, a big thing over top of this. It's my job to make that happen. And that's more impactful than if I tell them about two rows ice and water shield and ring shank nails. But I have
Mm.
to make sure it happens. If you don't make sure it happens, then you're gonna have a not great relationship starting. So as long as you make sure that those things happen, if you speak upon their actual concerns and needs, it's a lot easier to build a relationship faster than if you're going through the process of just products and warranties. So
Love
that's
that.
really kind of what I focus on, is making sure that if we talk about how we're going to protect certain things or how we're going to do things at their job site, I'll put that in my proposal written so that they
Mm,
see that I've recognized their concerns in my proposal. So if my proposal needs to say, we're going to cover your whole, we had a guy one time, his whole driveway had just gotten resurfaced. We said, we're going to cover it in plywood and put a tarp over it and roll our trailer in on top of that so that you have the most protection possible. It's going to cost as much. I didn't just include OSB as a line item. OSB to protect the driveway, to be fully covered. Here's the tarp that we're going to use to be fully covered. So finding those things to talk about with them and then actually putting that into your proposal is going to make them remember you more than just saying it one time. If it's in the proposal and it's written, then they're going to know, okay, these guys are serious. And then when you're out there doing it that day and you're making sure it happens, you, the guy who sold the job, um, I do find that a lot of times guys sell these things and then sometimes they're just not there for the start of it. And if you're there
hmm.
for the start, you're making sure it goes well. You honestly don't, as long as you have a reliable crew, which we're very fortunate to have, that we have excellent crews. You don't have to sit there and check in all the time. You have to make sure that the needs are met and then that your guys understand that's the most important part of the job.
I
So
love that.
that forms a relationship really quickly and you get way more referrals focusing on those things than you do warranty and products.
Yeah, I love that. You're going way beyond products and focusing and realizing, man, they care way more about that than maybe most people think. They care way more about the actual property and making sure that they feel safe and it's protected. And you're getting into those emotional needs, and you're digging, and then you're listening, and then you're doing what you say you're going to do by listing out in a proposal, and you're making promises that you're standing behind. And I think that your degree of care, that your attention to detail, and then your follow through is like that sounds like what I'm hearing is you take the time to care more, you're listening,
Yeah.
digging in, and then writing that out in specific detail, and then doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, it really is what it comes, and you have to be able to believe that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. Like, you do
Hmm.
have to believe that. People, especially nowadays, consumers are savvy, and I mean, they can smell a little BS coming off when you're just trying to make any promise that they want to get
Hmm.
the job. And you have to make sure that you're following through on those things that you say are going to happen. And the easiest way to make them feel like that is to be confident that you yourself are going to do it and that our crews are going to do it. And so the best way to make sure the crews are going to do it is for you to be out there. So as long as you're, emphasizing those things and going back and then talking to them about it and then making sure it happens, you form very, very good relationships very quickly. And
That's awesome.
to me, it's more important than anything on the job because I know our crews are going to do a good job. Like I've the same guys who roofed my first roof in 2008 still do my roofs. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's a long-standing relationship with you want to talk about relationships, crew turnover is crazy. We still have the same guys that installed my very first roof ever. So
Man,
it's a great and that's a privilege for us because those guys are awesome and it's been real fun working with them for these last I guess what this is my 17th year. So
you've been a great for 17 years.
well yeah, so well no,
How
I
long you been
started
with
out
great?
ooh, boy, I couldn't. 2010 is when I
Wow.
started here, and then had a little bit of a hiatus for a couple years, and then came back. I can't remember what year I came back. It's been a while though.
Wow.
But I mean, I started out in a national storm chasing company out of Texas that was roofing up here when Hurricane Ike hit Columbus, came up through the Gulf and came all the way up through here and tore off the roofs throughout Columbus. I was working at like GNC at the time in college, selling protein and creatine, and everybody needed a magic weight loss pill, which still apparently is a thing. But yeah, so I was doing that, and then Brant, one of our owners, he was in my fraternity at Ohio State. He had graduated by the time I was there, but we knew each other, and he recruited me out of, hey, we're doing this, and we're selling free roofs and all that stuff. Back then, it was kind of more of the Wild West. So,
Yeah.
but you learn a lot in that situation because you're in charge of the whole project yourself. Nowadays we have people who put together work orders and schedule crews and do all the supplementing and things like that with insurance. And back then it was we all did it ourselves. So
Wow.
it's fun, but it's been fun to watch the industry evolve. That's for sure.
Yeah. So how is it evolving with like insurance and retail and guys like Josh and Brant with great, with their pride on lead generation and doing it right. Talk a little bit about the evolution of what you see happening in roofing with like insurance versus retail, and then
Sure.
what it's like being partnered with these guys uh, while you're as a top salesman on their team. Just how important having good leaders are and the true partnership dynamic you guys have. Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you are loving this episode. Hey, if you're a contractor looking to scale and grow your business through sales leadership training and sales coaching and training for your team, then look no further. All you got to do is text us at 945 800 4220. 945 800 4220. Okay? Or just go to our website, sell with an S, sellonsdg.com. Again, if you're a contractor and you want to grow your sales leadership training skills, your sales coaching skills, and you want to grow and help your sales reps get better, we can help commercial companies, we help residential companies, no matter what trade you're in, you just want to transform your business, okay? Come to SCG. We hope to see you there. Hey, now back to the episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, the evolution of insurance has been, especially these last few years, has been pretty quick. there's a lot more policies that are going towards actual cash value, a lot more policies with higher wind and hail deductibles than standard deductibles. So there's a lot more hurdles. But if you go after those hurdles from the beginning with the people and are honest about the expectations of what they're
Mm,
going to get out of it, it's a lot easier conversation. Look, your policy is probably going to pay you X amount of dollars, and then you have this huge deductible. I mean, a complex I just signed here recently, their deductibles are like $250,000, $250,000. So you have to have that conversation up front of does the property even have this money in reserves to pay for this?
mm, mm,
So as long as you're having those conversations up front, people will understand and they'll be like, well, my neighbor, they got this and this. And you still got guys eating deductibles, even though it was a very, very not great thing to be doing,
mm,
especially this day and age. I feel like insurance companies, I think I see in Texas, like roofers get arrested for that stuff, covering
mm,
deductibles. So I'm sure that that's coming to Ohio too. It seems like that's where everything kind of is like the test market for insurances, as far as what they're going to do with hail and wind policies. So you see these higher deductibles, you see actual cash value, you see roof surface payment schedules and things like that, where hey, after 10 years, you're responsible for this much of your roof. And I think that you're going to see that continue, and that's really where the retail sales is going to come into effect. Guys who've never sold retail are at a huge disadvantage because they can get people to sign a contingency and promise them the world on a free roof or $1,000 roof, and now those times are pretty much gone. And you really have to be able to sell the next part of it, which may be 50% of the roof or 25% of the roof. But being upfront and honest about it, and then providing a good quality product and proposal that includes a lot of their own personal worries and pain points, then you're a lot better off than just going at it and surprise, you owe me $10,000 because your insurance didn't pay it, and here it is. So if you go at it up front and you're just honest and open with people about what's going on with the industry, you're going to have a lot more success that way. But yeah, it's been I think a quick evolution. I want to say in the last like 4 or 5 years, they've really started pushing a lot of that out nationwide,
mm.
and so I think we'll see more of it. I think we'll see a lot of insurance companies going towards that, and just being prepared for it. And that's one thing, like you said with Brant, with Josh. I remember Josh and I having this conversation. We've been pretty prepared for things that have happened in the industry almost without knowing we were. But it's been really, staying on the edge of technological advances. Like when COVID happened, we were already using drones. We were already had click to sign contracts. We didn't have paperwork anymore. So when we weren't allowed to like meet face to face with people, or people didn't want to meet with us face to face, we were able to do drone inspections, click to sign. Like we had these ads, click to sign proposals, no contact inspections, all this stuff, and we were ahead of the game because we had all this stuff already set up in our CRM where people didn't have to talk to us. We can have the whole conversation over the phone. They stand on their porch, we talk about it, we email them photos, we still have conversations because the biggest part of the whole thing is being verbal with your customers, being able to articulate what you're talking about. And then, hey, just open that up. Here you go. Great. Opened it on their phone, clicked it, signed it. See you later. We'll, your insurance will come out. We can't meet with them either, and we'll see what happens. Or here's your price. We'll see what happens. And so that was something where we're really trying to stay ahead of the game when it comes to a lot of those
Mm,
things of
yeah,
what customers are demanding of other industries, because a lot of times they're expecting the same thing from an insurance or a home restoration company that they are for just anybody who can provide them something. Amazon, Walmart orders, everything gets delivered to your house now. So if we can
mm,
provide that same to the people who want it, I still
mm,
prefer to meet people in person and talk to them. But some people just really want the quick, easy thing. It's not always the easiest sell because it's a lot more impactful to sit with somebody and talk to them about what they have going on, but you have to be
yeah,
ready for
it's
that.
so good. I love that, Josh. Yeah, Josh and Brant. I mean, Josh is I love that guy. He's a good leader, and he's very focused on doing things the right way, and he's prepared. He doesn't want to be vulnerable. He protects the company. He's thinking about the future, and what's trending. I remember he was just like, bro, I want to be a $50 million company. And I don't know what
Yeah.
you guys are doing at the time, but you guys have either gotten close or you're on your way, you're already past it. I don't know your
Yeah,
numbers.
we're moving in that direction, that's for sure. We've got we keep the company culture very tight. We don't do a lot of mass hiring. We don't, hire just anybody who wants to come in and sell roofs. They got to be a good cultural fit because we'd
So
rather
good.
have somebody come in that's a good cultural fit and takes time to get used to it than somebody who's going to come in and ruin what we have or just kind of be, that thorn that kind of sticks out. So he's done a
Yeah.
great job of keeping the company culture that. I mean, they do a lot of things for every sales guy and from production to office staff as far as like company trips and things like that, where we're
Nice.
using those rebates to fund fun stuff for people. So
Yeah,
everybody
that's
knows you get
great.
big manufacturer rebates, and those just get spent on our people, which is nice.
That's awesome. What do you think's the biggest difference between like insurance and retail sales? Like you said, you're at a real big disadvantage if you don't know how to sell, if you've never sold retail. Can you talk about like what are the top two or three differences that a salesperson would need uh,
Yeah.
to have those skills that they possess, those competencies that they need to possess in order to sell retail?
Number one, being blunt and honest about somebody's budget or what they want to spend. I am like, I beat the drum every week of just ask what they want to spend because you don't have people who go to, I use this analogy a lot. You don't have people who go to a car dealership and want either a Corvette Z06 or like a Honda Civic, right? They don't
Right.
show up and they don't want the
Right.
option between those two. They're not test driving both those cars seriously. They might test drive the Z06 just for the hell of it, but
Right.
they aren't going to go there seriously wanting to buy either of those. So you can have a very frank conversation up front about what someone's wanting to spend. A lot of those conversations do then revolve around products and warranty because, hey, is a extended manufacturer warranty part of what you're wanting? Well, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, just to let you know, it costs more money. That's okay. I want that option. Great. You've already found out something about your customer. They are value driven. They're not price driven. They want to
Right.
see what it costs to have that value. So you can find some, like, just one quick question right there. You can do that. If they have other bids, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm really good at getting people to show me everybody else's bid. Like, that's something that we just flat out ask. And hey, are you getting other bids on this? Great. Would you mind if we sat down and reviewed them together? You can black out the pricing if you want, but to make sure the scopes are the same, could we sit down and go over these together once I have my stuff together? And that way, sometimes they're sitting down with me and they've got two, three, four other things sitting next to me, and we're going line by line of what I'm doing versus what they're doing. Okay, did they mention about the Japanese maple? They're going to cover that? Well, they said it. Okay, well, I'm putting it in writing right here. Um, so you're those things that you find out and those questions that you can ask revolving around price, it's eye-opening how many people just really don't even ask. But in every other buying situation, you're buying a house, you're buying a car, you're buying a hot water tank, you're buying whatever, you have a budget in mind, and usually the people who are servicing that know the budget. Your realtor knows your price, your budget for your house. The car guy, based on what car you're going in there to ask about, basically knows your budget because you've looked it up. Nobody goes to shop for a car and goes, boy, I don't know what a Corvette costs. I think I'll just show up and find out.
Right.
TV, same thing. The people walk around shopping for TVs, you can see what section they're shopping, right? So the guys that, I'm a big fan of Micro Center, which we have here in Ohio. But it's, the sales guys there, they can see which section you're shopping in. So they already know kind of what your price point is. For some reason, it's like this big faux pas in home renovations that some people just don't want to talk about it. But if you ask, more likely than not, you're able to get that. You just have to know kind of the right time to ask. And that's the one thing I've talked about the guys. I'm not like the greatest teacher, but it's kind of you got to be able to feel it out of when it's appropriate to ask that question,
Hmm.
and how comfortable they're going to be with, especially when we talk about the other bids or things like that. Like, I'll find a thing in the conversation that's like, hey, if you're getting these, then I would like to make sure that we're bidding the same thing that somebody else is bidding. I had it happen a couple weeks ago. We're bidding coding certainty smart code. It's what we've been doing a lot of. And the property manager was like, well, we got a bid, we're getting a bid for a full replacement. I said, I don't think you need to do that. I think we can do this. And then I sent it to her and couldn't have a conversation or anything. And finally got a call back. Hey, we're going to go with the other bid because it's a full replacement. It's $20,000 less than you. And I was like, that makes no sense whatsoever. I'm just going to let you know, like, that's a red flag to me if they're cheaper to tear off a roof and put in new code insulation and put a new membrane on than I am to coat it. Like, that's normally like half
Yeah,
price. So,
seriously. Yeah.
uh, so I finally got her to, I was like, would you mind sending that over so I can at least see what we got beat by? She's like, well, I can't send it. I was like, can you just read a little bit of it to me? And the first line was provide relief cuts on existing membrane and then apply a new layer of 1 inch insulation. So it wasn't a tear off. She was
Wow.
under the impression she was getting a tear off and they were doing a layover. And the roof already had 2 layers because we did a core sample and the other company didn't. And
Hmm.
so we knew you could not do a layover. So I said,
Hmm.
you can't even do that. Here's your documentation on why that can't happen. So I don't know if it was, honestly, don't know if it helped or hurt us because I still haven't heard back yet officially on it, but I know they can't go with that option, at least as long as they're not willing to have somebody who's willing to violate code,
So being
which,
willing, being very comfortable talking about money and asking,
yeah,
those blunt questions. We teach, and you might remember this, but in baseline selling, from first to second, we get into more their reasons why they want to buy, and we get into that rapport, that lowering of resistance, that finding out what they actually care about.
yeah,
Then we get into the more of those like blunt discussions about,
yeah,
are you willing to pay more? Are you really committed to actually doing this? Who all
yeah,
cares about this? Have you gotten any other bids? What's your decision process like? What's your timeline? So, you may recall like creating those habits internally, but we want to ask those questions, especially after we've built a lot of trust and they know that we actually care about their situation. And by
yeah.
asking them those questions about what
Yeah,
they,
that's what I don't try to make it like a race to the bottom with finding out
right.
the quotes. But you can quickly find out why someone's cheaper because they might be cutting like that example there. They might be cutting corners that these people
Hmm.
don't even know aren't even allowed by code to do. And they don't know that. Like unless someone tells them you can't do this. It violates Ohio code, or obviously that's a
How would they know?
national code when it comes to
Yeah.
multiple layers. But they don't know that. So they have
Yeah.
this other company that's 20 grand cheaper that's telling them they'll do this, that's telling them they'll give them a warranty. And I'm like, but I mean, sure, I guess the company's been in business for 4 years or something like that. And I think it's GAF that keeps us those statistics of like 75% of roofing companies go out of business before year 5 or something.
Mm,
It's a huge number. And I want to say 75% might be low. So that's something else that we do talk about. There are plenty of
that's good.
young roofing companies doing it the right way and making sure that they're handling the business well, because that's usually where it fails is the actual business aspect of it. But there's plenty of times where I walk in and they're like, well, they'll give me a 20-year workmanship warranty. I'm like, how much is that worth? Like we've been in business for 17 years. And a 20-year workmanship warranty from me in year 2 was worth like nothing. It might be worth
Wow.
something now, but it's not worth anything when it comes from a company that hasn't really been around. Now, if you want to do an extended manufacturer's warranty, now you've got something that you can talk about. Multi-billion
Mm,
dollar manufacturer, making sure that they've got the backing of them.
that's
That's
good.
an impactful warranty. So that's just certain things that we'll try to get these little nuggets of information that we can explain to customers of this sounds fantastic, but is it real? I guess, right?
Love that. Great
Yeah.
tonality, pausing. It's good.
Yeah.
Quick, a couple more quick questions. So you remember, my brand and the training has a lot of like personal growth kind of
Yeah.
personal transformation dimensions to the training. So it's like not just about sales process or questions, but like kind of growth personally and being the best person you can be, transforming yourself and how people buy from people. Um, like and I talk a lot about being a sales athlete as well, like the baseball background and just how
Hmm.
sales is a sport. And I know you love sports, you love Ohio State sports. Like I want to know from you how you are, the disciplines and habits that you form that as a sales athlete differentiate you from your competition. We talked a lot about kind of on the field skill and care and your thought process and the game. Talk about like the off the field type of Ryan Lephart habits and thoughtfulness going into your career, because you can't just accidentally do what you're doing. You have to be super intentional about your time and those types of things. Talk a bit about that, like the sales athlete in you off the field. What does that look like? How are you going about your business in order to perform the way you are?
Yeah. Sometimes off the field and on the field are very much together, because I know that the work-life balance is like a big statement thing. But I think if you're doing what you really like to be doing in work, there doesn't need to be necessarily a lot of balance, except for the amount of time that you're spending with
Hmm.
family and friends and things like that. So
Hmm.
a lot of the stuff that I'm doing in work or in personal life really gel together very well. You have to truly care about other people in order to come across and make people understand that you actually care about how their project goes, that it's not just a
Hmm.
dollar sign. And I think that that's helped me out with these, large sale numbers, is that I don't really see those. I see the next person that's in front of me. I really hope that they choose me to help them with their project, because to trust me, basically. So you have to have this desire to kind of want people to feel like you're a good person that's going to help them out, and that's something that you can obviously take into a personal life as well. I think I'm a very reliable person, both in work and outside of work. I try to make sure
Hmm.
that um, people, if they need something from me, they can absolutely ask, and they don't feel like I am feeling like they're wasting my time or anything like that. I don't feel like my time's worth more than anyone else's time. Um, Both in personal life and professional life. Like you've got to have that kind of balance there of just making sure that that the time that you spend with other people is just as important as the time you're spending with work. And so that's really been something that I don't necessarily think I've been like focusing on, because it just kind of happens a little bit naturally as you grow, as I think as an adult. I mean, I started this when I was like, what, 22 years old or something like that. So I wasn't exactly caring about a whole lot of other things. But with addition of family, we just had our first kid, our son, 4 months ago tomorrow, and
Wow. Wow.
so
Congrats.
there's a lot of new stuff, and just being able to work that in and caring about it as much as everything else. When you go into somebody's home, then if you're a person who truly cares about other people, it is easy to show them that you actually care about what you're doing at their house.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think that that's something that you have to have, that organic growth naturally. You can't force that. I can't tell people you really need to care about what's happening at somebody else's house. If you don't care about what's happening at your own house, or what's happening in your own life, it's very hard to make that jump into being kind of like an empathetic salesperson.
Hmm.
Understand what they're going through, understand what the problems are. How do you help solve them? I think I've always been kind of like a problem solver. Sometimes that's not always what's needed, but you always like, you hear about something, how can we solve this real quickly? Or how can we
Yeah.
solve this? And so,
That's
yeah,
good.
it's been a good amount of growth over the last, I'd say probably 10 years, 10 plus years of just making sure that the person that I am in my house is the same person I'm showing people in their house. And that's just being a good person in general and wanting to help people out. generally you're going to do well in proving to people that you want to help them and that you're not just out there to, hey, here's another dollar sign.
Yeah, there's a lot of selfish, self-focused salespeople
Oh
that
yeah.
can achieve what they want through sales because of the opportunity in sales.
Yeah.
Um, but I think what you're saying takes you to a different level is being somebody who is has integrity and is caring about others truly. And sounds like you've had some heart reflections over the years of like, am I really, do I really care about these people? Am I saying it?
Yeah.
Or am I just like faking it? And I
Yeah.
think that there's people can feel that authenticity. I think Gary Becca is like a psychologist, and he talks about how authenticity is 4,000 times more powerful than love, and as an emotion with like the frequencies and stuff. And I'm thinking you can't fake that you care about somebody. You know, you can maybe,
No.
and I think that that's what I'm hearing from
At
you.
least not at least not for long. Like
Right.
you can get people on the hook long enough to sign a quick contingency, and they don't ever see you again, and you do their roof and they just feel like, man, they were in and out, like wait on, never saw the guy
Yeah.
again and whatnot. You're not getting referrals from those people, and
Hmm.
you're not getting, like, I have people that years down the road still refer me business that I did their roof 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And there's a
Wow.
home inspector guy down in Cincinnati. We had a storm down there, and I went down to help out for a few. And one of them was a guy, home inspector, and he, I mean, to this day, I think I just got a lead from him like within the last 6 months of somebody calling, and we
Wow.
handed to our Cincinnati guys down there. So you're not going to get those types of relationships that are going to build a lasting, I guess pipeline is what we'll call it because that's the industry term of referrals that will continually come to fruition. Every now and then you just, hey, this person referred me. And it's like, oh man, yeah, I haven't talked to them in forever. So then you reach out to that person, you make a new connection with that person that you sent you the referral. I don't just take the referral and then don't say thanks to the person either. So that's something where every time that they send me a referral, hey, thanks so much. Like, it's great to hear from you, and so forth. But you have to actually care to do that.
Mm.
Some people will take the referral and then they'll still never talk to that person, and those referrals will stop coming.
So
So
good. So
yeah,
good.
keeping
This
those
is awesome,
relationships
man.
is huge.
This is great. Well, I'm gonna flip my hat backwards to switch gears. Okay. We're gonna go
Okay.
into role play mode. So
Oh,
we'll
okay.
wrap up
Yeah.
a role play scenario or two. This has been awesome, man. I love hearing how you go about your business. But yeah, let's go ahead and role play. I'll be a homeowner, and give me a scenario that would be educational that you think you do well for those who are listening, and I'll be the homeowner.
Ooh. I'm coming up with the scenario. Let's see here. One of my favorite ones is, and I don't know, because see, like, it, I said this earlier, I'm a terrible teacher, so I usually have to get given the scenario because I'm kind of an on the fly person. Um, but I think one of my favorite ones that I get asked is, this is for guys who knock doors, and I am perfectly fine with companies that knock doors. If you aren't knocking doors during storms and things like that, you're just leaving money on the table. Doing it in a way that it once you get into the sale, you have to actually
Yeah,
again care about that person. But I
right.
mean, some of the biggest projects I've ever gotten have come from knocking doors. I'm talking like I knock
So
multi-trade
you're gonna knock my
all the time.
door, and then I'm gonna give you a specific objection,
Yeah,
or yeah,
sure.
but
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my favorite one is always you're like the seventh guy at
okay,
my
cool. Let's
door.
do that. Let's do that. Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, here we go. I'm hearing you knock.
All right. My
Hello.
dog's out there. He might hang on a second.
How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you doing? My name is Ryan. I'm with Great Roofing. Obviously, knocking on your door because you've had how many other roofers knocking on your door as well. I was seeing if you guys have had anybody check out the roof yet.
Man, you're like the seventh roofer to ask.
Oh man, am I? Well, let me ask you something. Why haven't you chosen any of the other roofers?
I had one that did go up on the roof.
Okay.
I let him do that. I haven't heard anything back from him though after that.
No, you actually haven't got any contact from them.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I guess you let one out of seven up. Are you willing to let two out of eight?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't really. I'm not leaking or anything. I don't see anything that's visible to me. I don't know. Seems a little intense getting all these
No,
people out here.
I understand. I'll tell you, we've been on a few roofs, not necessarily in your neighborhood, down a couple streets here throughout the day, kind of seeing that it's more of like a marginal damage storm. You don't have huge holes in the roof coming through or anything like that. Obviously, you don't have any ice in your
Hmm.
attic, I would
Yeah,
assume.
no.
So, basically what we do on these types of inspections is we're looking for damage that could cause issues long term. Are you familiar with how hail damages a roof at all?
I've never had a house with hail. No, that's been
Never
hit.
had a home insurance claim at all?
Never once. Nope.
Okay. Well, just so you know, things are a little different than they used to be. Home
Mm,
insurance claims, they generally send out an inspector to look at your roof. And what we'd want to do is to make sure that we're not going to waste anybody's time, yours, mine, or your insurance companies when it comes to this. So the inspection really is for, again, potential long damage or long-term damage. Hail, when it impacts your shingles, is not always going to cause a leak right away. What it does is it hits your shingles, it'll embed a bunch of the granules, and it'll pop a bunch of the granules off, kind of in the shape of a circle. It's not always circular, it just kind of depends on the type of hail that hit here. But what'll happen is over time, that circle will dry out and crack. If you think of like an asphalt street, right? You guys have your streets repaved every now and then, I'm sure.
hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that asphalt in the sun dries out and cracks. So the granules that are up there on your roof, they're not only up there to give your roof its color, but they're protecting that asphalt from the sun. So the more of that asphalt that's exposed, the faster it's going to dry out and crack. And then long term, you might have leaks down the road, but it does definitely shorten the lifespan of your shingles. There's actually quite a bit of documentation from shingle manufacturers saying how granule loss from a hailstorm can impact the longevity of a shingle. So really our goal is just to get up there to see what you have, to let you know whether you're in good shape, which would be awesome. If you're in good shape, there's no obligation to me hopping up there. If you
Mhm.
do have damage, we can kind of explain to you how we'll help, how we might be different from the other companies that you've talked to. And then if you really want to go to the next steps, how we can come out, meet with your insurance adjuster, and make sure that you have somebody there kind of on your behalf. We're not exactly like an advocate. We're just more of like a, hey, here's what we've seen.
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, the person that's coming out from the insurance company is out here for the insurance company. So I don't
mhm,
know. I don't know about you, but if I ever owe anybody money, I don't really want, or if somebody owes me money, I don't really want them deciding how much money they owe me. So our job is to kind of make sure that the insurance guys out here with every little thing. So let's go outside of the conversation. Normally, when I walk up to a door, I am looking at everything from downspouts to solar lights, or like my big one, those little ones that stick in the mulch. So, I don't know if you saw these, but your solar lights have dents all over them. And that's just something where we're trying to make sure that 6 months from now, a year from now, you, your wife, whoever is going, man, these things have dents all over them, that stuff gets noticed up front. So it's a 10-minute inspection. I can hop up there, kind of tell you what you have going on within that amount of time, and at least give you the peace of mind. So when the next guy comes behind me knocking on your door, you can tell him, I've already had somebody up there. I'm good. No need to hop up. Does that
got it.
sound
So
okay to you?
it it does. Do you provide like a way for me to see what you're seeing, and can
Yeah.
I can we review, like, can I see what's going on up there? Like
Yeah.
it.
So I'll take a bunch of photos when I'm up there. We also have a CRM where we have a customer web portal. So I can actually all load this into a file for you that you'll be able to
Mhm.
view it online whenever you really want to. But what I'll do is initially when I come down, if I do find damage, I will have pictures to show you of the damage that I'm seeing up there. Also, generally, do you know how old your roof is?
Yeah, so when we bought it 5 years ago, I think they said it was 8 years old. So I think it's about 13 years old.
13 years old. So in the state of Ohio, the average lifespan for asphalt roofing is 14 years. So you're getting
Mm,
right there. Normally they're torn
mm,
off after that due to hail or wind, or people just don't like it. Um, I know you think you probably have, oh, I've got a 30-year shingle. Most of those shingle warranties all prorate to 50% after 10 years. So if you figure the manufacturers feel like their product is worth 50% at 10 years, you've kind of are on that lower end of 50% at 13 years.
mm.
So We'll take a bunch of photos. If you have any sort of installation issues or general issues going on with the shingles, I'll also show you those, especially if you don't have any damage. You might need something there eventually, so at least you'll have some peace of mind of what that looks like. Like I said, if you moved in 5 years ago, you had a home inspection. A lot can happen in 5 years to a roof. And so we can make sure of all those other things that maybe either didn't get pointed out by the home inspector
Mm,
or now have become a problem.
mm. Okay. All right. Yeah. Go right ahead. And go up there for sure. Go ahead. Awesome. Sweet. So that was really
Oh
good.
man, how did I know that that was going to end with you saying yes?
Yeah.
Now I think
Professional.
it's always a fun one when it's I've had a million people up there. It's like, well then there's probably something going on, and the goal is to convey that to them.
I think you really showed a lot of professionalism, and you also were very soft. Like you weren't trying to force anything too much. Like I felt like that actually most sales guys are really afraid to do that. I think they're afraid if I'm that way, then it won't work out for me. But
Yeah,
I think my natural bend was to actually have less resistance against you because of that and more interested in your help because I didn't feel like you were forcing anything. So actually, it was like really, that was a really good experience as a prospect. You're also very knowledgeable. So you're dropping stats, you're talking about
yeah,
policies, the
that's something.
state.
That's
That's
just
very, yeah.
experience on that stuff. Like if you don't like, I tell guys all the time, I can only learn like what I learn, and if I need information about something, I'm going to manufacturer reps. I'm going to my supplier. Who do I talk to about this? Like, what's the GAF statistics about roofing companies? Like, I try to absorb as much of that knowledge as I can,
Mm.
and that doesn't always come from other people. Especially, I don't have anybody. I mean, Brant's more experienced than me by a few years, but I don't have like this super more
You're the
experienced
senior
person.
guy at Great Roofing, right?
Yeah, so I'm always trying to gather that information to give to our guys, but I've got to get it from people, manufacturer reps, suppliers, anybody I can talk to within the industry that might have a little nugget of information that might be relevant on the next 200 doors from now or whatever, 200
All right,
appointments
so
from now.
let's get into the home. You've come back. Now, go ahead and present to me, and I'll try to give you an objection as we have like 5, 6 minutes left before we gotta go.
Okay, so I'm a big advocate of energy matching,
Okay,
psychology of sales type stuff. So
good.
it really how I'm interacting with them will really depend on how quickly I get to business and how long I might take to try to build rapport.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or talk to them about other things within their house. I'm a huge surveyor of how I might relate to that person from when I'm
Mm-hmm.
walking up to their house. If their garage door's open, what's in the garage, car, Ohio State pennants, whatever. As soon as I'm into their house, like I've seen in Columbus, people who are Michigan fans love to have their Michigan stuff up right now. So do I give them a little jab about Michigan, but now it doesn't work that well because they're the ones jabbing us, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
it'll really depend on how
No,
that person is.
that's really insightful just to even share that. So let's just say
Yeah,
I'm like, hey Ryan, I hate to be rude. You seem like a really nice guy. Can we just get down to business? I don't have a lot of time.
sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Here's the quick and dirty of it. Right here, these things that I've circled, those are hail impacts on your roof. And here's a close-up view of them. You've got
Okay.
enough of these. I will say that there's not a ton, but you've got enough that it's going to cause some issues. Also, here's some areas where it doesn't look like they did your chimney flashing very well. Also, for
Hmm.
some reason, they didn't put a cricket behind your chimney. I actually just ran into this on a house where the roof was done like 12 years ago. It didn't have a cricket.
Hmm.
So this is very, yeah, you don't have a cricket on your chimney. Have you ever had any issues with your chimney at all?
Yeah, we've had some animal intrusions and some, things like that.
Sure. So the animal intrusion is probably not getting caused by the cricket, but I'll tell you this: if they're chewing up your wood at all or anything like that, or if this is going to rot out at some point down the road, because they were supposed to install this big V-shaped thing behind your chimney and allow water to go off either side. So that's
All
just
right.
an installation issue, something that needs to be solved at some point while you live here. This is a good opportunity to do that.
I
So
see.
you've got a couple issues on the flashing there and the cricket, but more of this hail damage here. Now, who did you say your insurance company was again?
Um, State Farm.
State Farm currently the hardest insurance company in the country to deal with. They
Mm,
spend more money on commercials than they do on roofs. So I'll just let you know that. So
mm,
what we've got to do is basically do a more fine-tuned report so that when your insurance company comes out to look at this, you've got the best chance of getting from them what they owe you.
mm,
These are definitely going to cause issues down the road. They're not going to cause issues in 2 weeks or a month or maybe even a year. But 3 years from now, 4 years from now, when these are causing issues, you're not going to be able to go back and file a claim on this hailstorm.
I
Generally, your
can't. I
statute of
won't be able to do
limitations.
that.
No, generally your statute of limitations is going to be between 6 months and a year. Some insurance companies are moving to you have 6 months to file a hail and wind claim. So
Really?
you need to read your policy, number one, because when you have issues from this down the road, it's going to be your out of pocket instead of out of pocket of State Farm. Now, like I said, State Farm is very difficult to deal with right now. They have just changed their claims practices. So it needs to be a lot of documentation on our end going into it to really
Mm-hmm.
give you the best opportunity to get these damages fixed. So I'm always focusing damages fixed, damages, damages,
Mm,
damages, damages, damages. So, and then at that time, we can solve the chimney cricket issue because a chimney cricket is code on a chimney of this size. They owe
mm,
you for code upgrades in your policy, most likely with State Farm, and we'll be able to solve that problem for you so you don't have the couple extra $1,000 out of pocket. The
mm,
way it works, we can come back out here, do a more thorough inspection. We operate on a contingency. It's effectively a handshake on paper between you and I that we're going to come out here and do our job and get things approved by the insurance company. If we don't get them
okay.
approved, you don't owe me any money. So I have to be sure that over the time that it takes to do all these arguments with State Farm that we're going to get something approved because otherwise I'm working for free and I don't really like to work for free. I'm just going to be honest.
Mm,
But during that time, we're going to make sure that we're, then going over with you what materials we might use, and that's getting the cart before the horse. We can talk about that now, but since you're kind of in a hurry, it's more of like I put a TBD upon insurance approval here for this. And then what I
mm,
put in the pricing here is just going to be insurance proceeds. We're going to work up an estimate on our end. We've got a whole department. All they do is talk to and supplement insurance companies all day long. That's all they do.
mm,
So they'll work everything up of what we think State Farm owes you. So that by the time that guy gets out here, we have a very good understanding of what we think needs to be paid for. And again, your risk at this point is pretty much nothing. You're going to have to file a claim. That's the only thing we can't do. And we kind of take it over from there. We'll meet with the guy. We'll do any sort of arguing. Now, there are times when, especially with State Farm, that the homeowner will need to get involved if we're dealing with somebody who is just not recognizing damage or certain things that are owed on your policy. But that's again putting another cart before the horse. We need to get to where they're actually approving some things first. So we try to make it super simple for you. You've got basically no risk. We take it all over from here, and we can just get these problems solved for you. Especially the other problems that aren't from hail damage will all get solved by going through this process.
all right, so I'm gonna do a money objection just for the
Sure.
last couple minutes. So I don't have a lot of cash on hand. You mentioned like the out of pocket, and then like I is this free? Do you guys cover
Your
deductibles?
only cost for this is most likely going to be your deductible. Now, I just got off your roof. I didn't feel any rotten decking. I didn't really like feel like I was going to fall through the roof or anything like that. So the decking feels good. The other only other things would be if you don't have code upgrades in your policy. Most State Farm policies are going to have that, but it is something we can check for before starting the
Like if I don't have
process.
that policy, that chimney deal, I'd have to pay for that out of pocket. You're saying?
Yes, correct. Yeah, yeah, that'd be a code issue that you'd have to pay for. So we do need to check with that. And that's something that even before you file the claim, you can ask your agent about, hey, do I have code upgrade coverage on my policy? And they'll
Okay.
be able to answer it very quickly. Or it's called law and ordinance, whichever one they want to use as the lingo. Law and ordinance, which I can send you a text or an email. When we go over this document, I'll send it to you an email of the questions that you need to ask your agent.
Okay.
And that way
Okay.
you have a good understanding of what you're doing. But other than that, it's really just going to be your deductible. Do you know what your deductible is?
I I I actually don't. In Ohio, what would it typically be? Is it a percentage or a
Thousand
dollar?
bucks, $1,000
Yeah,
usually.
I
Yeah.
think it's like $1,000. Yeah, and
Okay. So
but
that
what
would
would
be your
if I
only.
didn't do anything within this like 6 month to a year window? Like what? do you end up seeing like being the like the consequences cost wise that I would run into potentially?
Well, so there's a couple options. Do you plan on staying in the home for very long?
Yeah, we're planning on keeping this for a long time. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're planning on staying in the home for a long time, I would say that your consequences are eventually you're going to be paying for this roof out of pocket. It's currently 13 years old on average. Again, it's usually 14 years, but that's due to hail and wind. You've had
What's
the
like
hailstorm.
what would be like the estimated cost if, you were to
You're probably looking at anywhere between 20 and $30,000. And
really?
if you wait, and that's now. So if you look at it this way, that's now. If you decided to replace the roof in 10 years, let's say you get another 10 years out of it, even with the hail damage and the lack of the cricket, and you've done maintenance over time. So you're talking about, have you had any repairs done in the past to the roof?
Not yet.
Okay. So let's say that every couple years, 2 years now, every 2 years, you have to have $1,000 in repairs.
Hmm.
So that's $5,000 by the time let's say you replace it in 10 years. Well, in 10
Hmm.
years, the price of the roof is going to be instead of 20 to 30, it can be 25 to 35, something like that.
Hmm.
So now you've not only added $5,000 in repair bills to your roof, but you've also raised the price another
Hmm.
$5,000. So truly, you're going from an out of pocket of $1,000 to potentially an out of pocket of
And
$35,000
that's
10
that's
years from
not
now.
including the decking or drywall underneath that if it
Correct. Yeah.
is.
And if you end up having leaks, yeah, then you're going to have the interior stuff. So it's just something where I hate to say it's an opportunity because it sounds like this like great thing that your home got damaged by a storm, but it is a situation where you can right some current wrongs on the roof and you can set yourself up to where hopefully for the rest of the time that you're in the house, you don't have to deal with this again. We can throw on an extended manufacturer's warranty if you would like us to. We can
Okay.
talk about that when the price comes or when the time comes. But other than that, it really leaves you in a position where if you're planning on staying here for another 20 years, you have a roof that might last that long instead of a roof that definitely is going to have to be replaced within the next 10.
Cool. Man, it's good to have you on here. You're awesome.
Appreciate it.
I know you have to go on a big project right now. So,
I do.
um,
Yes.
yeah. So,
Nice new
hey,
Da Vinci
everybody,
Da Vinci roof.
heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
I
love my
see
Da
your
Vinci
pictures
roofs.
on Facebook. If you guys are not following Ryan, just hit him up on Facebook. He puts all his roofing stuff out there, and then he's
I
got his
do.
beautiful
Yeah.
family as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
man, it's really great to see you interact and to hear of your success. And we're stoked that we were able to have some training with you a few years ago. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Man,
it's
it's been
awesome.
that was like 2019, 2018, I want to say 2019.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
you guys jumped on early.
I was teaching your courses to the guys in Vail like 3 weeks before we got shut down for COVID.
Wow, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's good.
it's been a while, man. It doesn't
Yeah,
seem like that long, but it has been.
yeah, it's you guys are really awesome. So really proud to have had you in our world, and love your success and the culture you guys have built and your partnership with Omnia and all that. It's you guys are doing it right. So
Yeah.
well, good
Appreciate it,
stuff,
man.
man. Hey, for you guys, if you thought this podcast was valuable, this video, send it to your friends. I think this is full of value and full of gold from Ryan Lephart. All right, brother. Well, enjoy the
Thanks, man.
Buckeyes.
We'll
Enjoy
be
your
in touch.
family. Yeah. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good one.